not to get a prenup.
There's one clip that's been going viral, making its rounds everywhere, that said I'm an absolute fool for not signing a prenup. So that's the one that people don't like to hear.
So what you got to say about that?
I said it already. I trust you.
Yeah.
And it's simple as that. Why would I make you sign a prenup? That would just show that I don't trust you. To begin with, I'm not going to marry somebody I don't trust.
Yeah, you have planning on we already going to separate one time, so.
Save the Day asks a great question, and you should give a segment on giving women advice on how to get a husband and keep one.
Larry Will's breakup is a masterclass in really maintaining boundaries. And this is why I've always said the game is really, really important. And I guess a lot of people don't understand that most men out here see public breakups like Larry Will's look like gossip. Sometimes it can be the drama, and a lot of people are just going to choose and pick sides and everything. And a lot of people want to know what they did, what went wrong, and where did everything go wrong. Well, everything went wrong because he didn't have the game. But a man that has the game doesn't look for the gossiping things, okay? A man looks for the lesson and everything, and that's what we're going to talk about today, because what happens for a lot of young men don't understand breakups happen more times, and if you don't have the game, you're going to be the one being broken up by a woman, because women are the ones that break up with men more, and it's crazy. And Larry Wills gave every man watching really a master class, and it wasn't necessarily in breakups, it was one actually in relationships. It was in something more important than both of those things, and what a man looks like when he's not locked into himself is going to have the same problem that Larry is having. And most men don't understand it. Something like this doesn't happen actually by accident. The thing is what Larry displayed in the aftermath of the split was the direct result of something men have never built before, and that is actually a relationship with themselves. And he was never intact or locked in. He never had a sense of self to survive, and he never did anything to protect himself. As you can see, that he believed so much in a woman that he didn't even want a prenup. And if you have been chasing when you should be choosing yourself, you've been actually, like Larry, negotiating your standard. And all you're doing is just waiting for the inevitable for someone to actually leave you. And this is a breakdown for you, because Larry Wills, excuse me, I'm sorry. Larry Wills just showed all you guys, unfortunately, a blueprint. And we're going to walk through the blueprint brick by brick to understand what happened in that situation. And gentlemen, I want to be perfectly honest with you, all right? And I want you guys to think about the last time something ended with you that actually mattered. Maybe it was a relationship, maybe it was a situation or something that you actually invested real time in. And I want you to actually think about it. The first week or the first 60 days looks good, like you can see in the video. They're lovey-dovey, everything is cool, no problems, no issues. You and I forever, no prenup. We don't need a prenup. We love each other. No, you don't move like that as a man. Gentlemen, I'm never going to tell you to get married and not to get married. But one thing I'm going to tell you to do, if it's your assets, protect your assets at all costs. And if a woman feels that she deserves your assets, then you're actually with the wrong woman. Sometimes you can actually smoke a woman out by how she moves around you. So I want all these things that we talk about to be a lesson, because most young men don't see where they go wrong, and most young guys cannot handle these things with composure. We've seen it several times. There's what happens to a lot of young men when they don't have the game. They get really mad, they get upset, they get hurt, they get bitter, they get angry, and they want to lash out on the person that they thought was going to love them forever. And again, gentlemen, a woman is not going to love you forever. She may like you forever, and she can love you forever, but when you don't have the game, it's inevitable that she is actually going to leave you, and that's just what it is, man. And most of you guys are doomed to fail relationships if you don't have the relationship with yourself. It's just that you're just gonna repeat. It's just crazy. A lot of guys say, well, damn, why do I keep doing the same thing and still getting the same result? And that's what happens. A lot of guys aren't really locked into the game. Most men just don't understand this, and it doesn't make you a bad person or anything, but what happens is that most of you never had a commitment to yourselves. If you look at Larry's situation, he wasn't committed to himself. He was just really, he's really hurting on the inside. And unfortunately, he was just looking for a connection. And you can't find a connection in somebody. It doesn't work that way. I think, again, I say realities work. The reality that you're in is really a setup for a downfall, because it forces you to think that you need somebody in order for you to be somebody to yourself. And that's not the truth. You don't need anybody to define you. And I think that's where actually Larry went wrong. He was looking for somebody to define him. But unfortunately for many men out there, that reach for external confirmation is where the loss was actually real. And this is why we always tell you, this is an open loop doing what it always does, looking outward for something that was never built inward, gentlemen. And Larry, the problem with Larry is he didn't do any of that, guys. And the reason he didn't do that is because he didn't have any self-worth. And this is just to understand for a lot of you guys out there, it's not bad if you don't have any self-worth. What's bad is that you look to someone else to feel like that person's gonna make you whole. The beautiful thing about the game, when you have self-worth and you run into a woman, she's gonna recognize that, you know, women have low self-esteem and low self-worth, but when you're locked in, they look for your leadership, they look for your guidance and everything. And I think that's part of the problem that Larry had. And because Larry didn't know who he was and he didn't know how he operated under the construct, he always messed up. And this is where a lot of guys go wrong when it comes to relationships. They feel that they need a woman in their life to be whole, and that means that they'll water themselves down or reduce themselves down for somebody else. And I don't want any of you guys to reduce yourself down for a woman. There's a line for many of you guys out here that you have to draw, and that is a line of understanding. Who are you in the construct of all of this? And once you learn who you are in the construct of all this, this is when everything changes. I want you guys to win because you're actually winners. I want you guys to learn who you are, why you are, and what you are. Because if you don't learn who you are doing all of this, you're going to have a lot of problems, kind of like Larry had. And there are 4 words that separate a man who gets this understanding. And I keep trying to tell you, man, it's one thing I learned when I was young. My mentor always told me, when it comes to the game, man, you don't fall into love with a woman, you fall into respect. Love is love right now. I mean, when it comes to your parents, you should have unconditional love, yes, but the world takes the word love and uses it the wrong way. And the problem is when you're in the reality that you're in, a lot of young men think that you need to love somebody. Now, I've always said a woman should love me because I love myself, but she doesn't know what love is until she meets a man who loves himself. A person that loves himself is always going to fall into what I call respect. I don't fall into love. Love is something that is for Hallmark, the Bears, and flower shops. Respect is deeper. And I want y'all to sit on what I'm saying, because it's not just a statement or something cool to say. It's what it is, man. And it's not shutting out a woman's love for you, because women are going to love you and women are going to appreciate you and women are going to want to be with you. But it's not for the love aspect of everything. It's the fact that you are demanding respect from that person. And that's one thing where Larry went wrong. You know, so where Larry messed up, and what he did is he loved somebody when he didn't love himself, and she didn't respect him as a man, okay? And this is where a lot of guys out, because this is where the foundation of who you are is actually real. Because a man that actually has unconditional love is a man that is actually going to respect himself. And once you respect yourself, the foundation is built. Because if a woman cannot reach up to your level of respect, then she's got to go. And I think most guys don't understand that lesson, because the thing about Larry, he started building himself up and he started to get in the eyes of people. But that's what I'm saying. He was really hurting on the inside. A lot of young men are hurting because they don't understand the dynamics of the game or relationships. And where Larry went wrong is that he had a lot of pain, but he looked at somebody to feel that pain that he was having. But he was never actually connected to himself. He never really loved himself. And what he did was he looked for love in somebody else. And what do they say? Looking for love in all the wrong places. And that's what he did. I mean, if you look beyond that, he continued once they left. I think it was 90 days. And once they left each other, what happened was he allowed her to keep that $300,000 Bentley that he purchased for her. And look, the car costs more than most men will make in 5 years. It's gone. And that's what's so sad. That's what bothers me, because a man, you should never use your finances to keep somebody around. And that was some serious tricking that he was doing. But in contrast, the average man doesn't have $300,000 just to buy a woman a Bentley. But what a man does is he gives something away that's worth more than money. And that is his heart and his feelings to somebody who he should never give his hearts and feelings to. I want you to care for your parents, and if you have children, care for them and all those, because those are people that love you unconditionally. A woman doesn't have to love you unconditionally, and a woman doesn't have to love you at all. And that's what's problem. And that's the problem. The thing is that the average man is always going to try to put his investment in a woman. And the average man is always going to be controlled by the woman's narrative when he doesn't have the game. And that's the difference between a man who has lost his circumstances. See, guys, you are very wealthy men on the inside when you learn the game. One thought, one mind, one way. And as you continue to grow and as you continue to learn the game, these are the things that's actually going to change you as a man, because you're looking for something deeper. I love myself, and a woman can love me, but I will always fall into respect, meaning that the demand is much higher. Love will come and go, man, unfortunately. And I'm sorry that most of you guys are still in this bubble where you believe in that love stuff. And yet every woman who said she loved you, and every woman that said we'll be forever, and every woman that said, I'll stay with you ever, she's not there, and that's not your fault. And this is not here to blame. This is here to let you know that this is why the game is so important. The game is always going to tie you into who you are as far as a man when it comes to respect, and when it comes to who you are and how you move. See, the relationship when you have with yourself, man, and this is the thing that most men misunderstand about respect. Respect is built on boundaries, okay? And I want you to think of a boundary as something that you set for another person, okay? It's just a rule that they have to follow, and it's a line they cannot cross. And when a woman crosses it, okay, that means the boundary's not respected. And if the boundary's not respected, then I'm gonna have to remove you out of my life by just leaving you alone. No arguments, no fighting, no questions, no asking why, no anything. Don't get mad, don't get bitter, don't get angry, don't get frustrated. You don't do any of those things. You just have to understand that some women are going to test your boundaries because they know that because you're open, your heart is open, that if your heart is open, then they're gonna run all over you, okay? See, the thing was, a real boundary, gentlemen, is not for her, all right? The boundary is the line that defines you. It's your beginning. It's where you begin. It's where she begins and you end. That line right there, okay? And this is something that is going to define you as a man, okay? And I don't want you to think that this is a dictatorship. The boundaries that you are having are not sexual or anything like that. This just deals on the basis of respect, gentlemen. And the thing is when a woman is not following your lead, your direction, and she's challenging your name, your throne, and the crown, a man is just going to remove himself from that. And that's what I want to tell you guys out there. You guys out there, sometimes it struggles because a lot of you guys want that connection from a woman, but I want that connection from myself. And unfortunately, when it came to Larry, you know, he didn't value himself, okay, in the relationship. And his relationship was doomed to fail because a lot of men don't understand how women are talking and moving. If he would have I just wish Larry would have taken the time just to see what was going on with that woman. If he would have just seen how she was talking to him, he would have seen that she really wasn't down for flats. But see, he doesn't know himself well enough. So he's going to connect himself to somebody he feels that, you know what, I feel connected to. And that's part of the problem that Larry was having, everybody. And he just didn't have boundaries, okay? And what he did was he shaped his life around her. And gentlemen, when you shape your life around a woman, it's really going to turn her off because women are looking for more leadership, gentlemen. That's what we want to talk about. And Larry's identity preceded the relationship, which means that, guess what? It was something that was going to crash. It was going to crash and burn. And most guys don't understand that. Most guys, I get it. You want forever after. You want your person. You want your wife. A lot of you guys want relationships. And one thing I always tell my clients is, man, you can't come into this game. You can't come into this game automatically looking for a relationship from a woman, because if you're looking for a relationship from a woman, then you're already doomed to fail. You have to have a relationship with yourself and allow someone to come into your life to show you that they're worth your time, okay? And this is why falling in respect is always going to be a non-negotiable for me. I will let a woman go quickly if she doesn't respect me. I don't argue, don't yell, don't fight, but this is why all this matters, because it's what you guys can do to save yourselves. I don't want anything bad happening to you young men. I don't want you hurting. I don't want you guys upset. I don't want you sad and miserable. But you gotta stop putting yourself in these situations, okay? And I'm not gonna say you're Larry, and I'm not gonna say you're gonna have that situation. You just gotta remember, when it comes to your finances, what's very important is that woman needs to know that my finances is something that I have accumulated myself. And if you feel that you cannot sign that piece of paper, then guess what? Then we're gonna have to just smash. That's it. And gentlemen, I'm not talking about a guy that's living paycheck to paycheck, okay? If you're caking up and if you're making money, gentlemen, you are allowed to have a prenup that protects your assets, okay? I just want to let you guys know everything's going to matter when it comes to the game. And I just want to let you guys know you will get into relationships and you're going to meet a million women. But one thing a lot of guys are going to have a problem with is that they just never met themselves or had an understanding of who they are in the construct of relationships. So I don't want you guys to look at Larry's situation and get mad at women. And I don't want you to look at Larry's situation and hate women or feel that women are terrible. I just want you to look at his situation and realize that, you know what is the lesson that I can learn from this? I want you to learn that, listen, you can't come into relationships with your heart on your shoulder. I keep telling you, you gotta put your heart in your pocket. That's the game right there. And let a woman earn your time, let her earn your attention, and let her earn access. And when you do it that way, she's gonna wanna grow with you because you're always evolving. She's gonna wanna be a part of your life because your life is worth something. So just remember that, gentlemen. And I don't want you guys to look at this and feel that you can't get married. Because remember, I'm never gonna tell you not to get married. I'm never gonna tell you to get married. What I am going to tell you is I'm going to do everything I can to teach you to value your name and value your kingdom, man. And guys, if you can understand what I'm saying, man, put 100 in the comments. Let me know where you're coming from. Let me know, have you had a situation where, you know, you put it all on the line and you thought she was forever and things just didn't work out, man? Yeah, I know it sucks, but I mean, guys, every man is going to get his heart broken, okay? I've always told you my story at 14. Every guy's gonna get his heart broken, but the question is not about the heartbreak. The question is what are you gonna do to make the changes for the next person so you don't get your heart broken? Until next time, guys, we'll talk soon. Peace.